Hello, welcome to I Like Smoked Meats and Coffee and NCD's coffee roasting room. Um, this is my San Francisco 6-pounder. We're fixing to do some coffee today, and my supplies are running low. I got to get some more coffee. That's basically all I got right there. There's some Indian in this bucket here, and some Ethiopian and Sumatran and Costa Rican and Brazil, some Colombian and some Guatemalan. We used to have a lot more, but like I said, we've gone through a lot of coffee since this. I've got one sack of some Colombian, and this is all my decaf I got. And this is the Costa Rican decaf, Swiss water processed. And of course, when people want coffee, I grind it for them in this commercial bun that I got. This roasting room used to be a pump house for a well here on our family's place. My father is a retired school teacher, and this, of course, was some of his classes that he had when he was teaching in the 60s, 70s. These are from the 60s though, and 80s when he retired. And but anyway, this is where I do my thing. I'll come back and roast a little bit later once the roaster heats up. This is what we got. When I say I'm not the one, I'm really not the one. This is kind of a one-man show, so everything I do for one man can do it. This is a packaging and labeling department. This is coffee storage. This is, of course, roasting, and this is processing here, and we bag it and weigh it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. This is a one-man show. This is where we are. The batch that we're going to roast today is my espresso number 9. I'm about out, so what I'm roasting today is for me. But this is the Indian Monsoon Belmar that I get, and this is a blend of 2 parts. That's a part for me is this Bean Man. This is a part. This is roughly 500 milligrams. All right, so I do 2 of these of the Indian coffee, which is down there, and I do 1 of everything else in that particular blend, and one of those is of the Ethiopian, the Sumatran, the Guatemalan, those 3, and 2 of the Indian. That's kind of what I do, and of course the Brazilian. One of the Brazilian, and that makes 6, because I do 6 batches, 6 pounds in a batch. So for me, there's 6 parts to a blend that I do, and I've blended them, roasted and blended separate. But I like to roast them all at the same time. And what I do is I roast them all to a full City Plus, which is right about 442, 443, depending on ambient temperature out here. Coffee roaster's going good. We're warming up. We're at 322 in the roaster, and at the top we're right about 425. So we're getting to where we want to be. I'm gonna back this down a little bit, and when I get to where I'll get ready to dump it, we'll proceed from there. All right, I just dropped this 6 pounds, and the roaster was at 450 at the top and 350 internally, according to the PID. And the coffee's going to probably fall to about 136 before it starts rising again. We'll see, because this is where what referred to as the drying period. So it's starting to slow down. 136. There we go. 136. It's based on the temperature of the day. We're going to start going up now. Now we're starting to dry the coffee. So this gas roaster has a pretty good turnover in terms of heat, because it's all, you know, 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch steel, so it has a lot of thermal mass. We're just going to let this continue to heat and dry, and when it gets to right before first crack, we'll come back. Now, just so you can see, there the rows, the gas roses are going at the bottom there, and they heat up the drum, and the drum sits on a bearing, a front bearing, and of course everything is food grade. And you got a motor that turns the drum, which is right here, and of course you got a bearing back here that has to be maintained on a regular basis. This roaster operates on airflow and reverse airflow, much like a HVAC does at your house. Here's a gas valve that connects to this, and the PID, of course, connects. It's just a thermal probe that gives me an ambient temperature of the coffee and what it's like inside the roasting drum. But this is the gas gauge. It shows the gas pressure that we have going to this from the line, and normally we should have about 6 pounds of pressure, and we got almost that. I'd like to have a little bit more, but ain't much I can do about that. On this side of the roaster, we have, of course, the stack column. This moves the air from back to forward when you're cooling it, because you got a vent on the bottom that you can flip back and forth right here, and this just moves air through this chamber. This gives you your negative air pressure, this fan here. Then you got a motor that runs this fan. You have a control board that operates 3 legs, and the 3 legs of this roaster are the airflow, this fan, the gas valve over there, and the drum itself. So those are the 3 legs that are controlled in this board. There are some solid state switches in there that have to be maintained, and yeah, it's just like anything else. There's a lot to maintaining a coffee roaster that's either on hand, you got to do yourself, or you have to you got to hire somebody out. And I'm the son of a shop teacher. I can do a lot myself, and I have friends who help me. This roaster is owned by 3 people, me and 2 other friends, and one of them is very mechanically sound, and I mean, if I can conceptualize it, he can do it, so it works out really well. We don't have any trouble maintaining this at all, but you do have to break it down and clean it, because it just like the Bean Man does on his electric bullet, you do on this one, just on a little bit larger scale. And the bigger the roaster you got, of course, the bigger the cleanup and the more often you got to do it. So finding the roaster with a good match is always an important task when looking at coffee roasting equipment. And this one person can manage this roaster. This roaster can be managed by one person. So you get much bigger than this, and it's a problem. All right, you can see the coffee is really yellowing. We're starting to go into the cinnamon phase. You can see that here, but you can also see how the loose chaff is getting what's called, I call it being polished off or roughed off here. And this is the loose chaff that's starting to swell, because this coffee's endothermic right now. It's just sucking up heat like nobody's business, and as a result, it's swelling the cellulose within the coffee bean, and the outer skin, which is going to become chaff, splits off and sloughs off, and that's starting to happen here now. You can see it, the particulate falling down between the gap of the roasting drum and the face plate of the roaster. It's something that occurs a lot. And roasters can't be overly tight when they're manufactured, because all this metal swells and expands, and it's got to have room for that. So they don't make them too tight because of that the expansion. You know, these are all engineered very carefully. I was fortunate to get to meet the man who did this one. He was a pretty nice fellow. Mr. Sherman was quite a man. But here we are, we're entering the cinnamon stage. We're about 301 here. This is about where things start to kind of brown up. So, and we're going to continue to lose more of the coffee chaff as it continues to swell. And remember, there's a blend here, so there's more than one coffee swelling at once. I know how all these coffees operate under the heat, so it's kind of predictable for me because I've done it so much. But the coffee that you'll notice at the end that swells the most is that big Indian, because it's almost like a yellow peanut. It's big. But anyway, everything else is about cracks and chaffs at about the same time, but the Indian takes a little bit longer. So this is just my experience, just pass along, just another way of doing it. All right, we're about 342, and you can see we're kind of moving beyond cinnamon. We're headed into the browns, as I call them, and this is where you start. We're going to start to see first crack in probably about another 20 degrees. So this is kind of where we are at this moment in time. We're running this thing at full throttle, and the roaster at the top of the roaster right here is right at roughly 415, 420. The internal temperature of the coffee is at 363, and we're running the gas wide open as much as we can possibly get. A little less than 6 pounds, 6-inch columns of gas, rather, not pounds. It's inch columns. Anyway, we're entering first crack. You can hear it busting now. We're right at 360, 359, 360, and you can hear cracks starting to happen. And this will keep going till about 385. And I apologize, I had this camera upside down. I'm sorry about that. I am not the charismatic guy the Fat Beans Lab is. I apologize for my lack of YouTube, Twitch camera skills. And this is a new phone, and I'm kind of getting used to it. We're right at 373. We're in full first crack in earnest now. We're cracking hard. Right now it's 381 inside, and this is the temperature I got to start watching, is this one now, because we don't want this to get above 450. You know, 425 we're perfectly good. But when the coffee starts, the coffee temperature, when it starts getting exothermic, really exothermic, the coffee temperature catches up rapidly with the temperature of the roaster. And if you're not careful watching this is the art of roasting right here with gas, is you want them to meet at a point in the middle. And Bean Man does that graph, and that's a pretty cool tool, but that graph is all about creating a roasting curve that you want to meet at a point in time in temperature. And that's kind of where we are. We're right at 445, 450. That's where we want to be, and we're at 396 here. And we're getting some nice color there. Alright, there we go. See, the coffee's exothermic now. It's just cranking out the heat. It's really cracking hard. It's that Indian that's going to work now. That's popping. The Indian is the last one to go. I mean, I've roasted these individually, and I kind of know how they operate. And right now, this is the Indian in first crack right now, and it's just going to work. And this is going to be some pretty coffee. This is going to be about the longest YouTube video I ever made. What else can I say, Fat Beans, while we're watching this? Because we're at 405. And we're good enough right there. We're doing fine. About right here is where I do an homemade check. I'll try to do this by hand, one hand at a time. I'm gonna set you down, but I check the coffee. I pull it out of the tube and give it a check. Because if you don't do this at this time, you'll wind up with some homemades, and you don't want homemades. You want everything to be nice and charred. So we put that in here, and we will drop that back in. And oh, it's smelling good. Alright, we're at 413. I'm sorry for the herky-jerky camera. Only a true coffee roaster is going to be watching it by now anyway. So, somebody that really interested. Alright. We're starting to enter in that time area between first and second. We're going to bump the gas up a little bit. We got some room to go. And I want to keep this peg close to 450 as I can, because I don't want it baking, I want it roasting. I want a nice hot finish on this coffee, but not above 450. I want to keep it right there. That's where I want it, right there. Right there. That's where I want to keep it. And we're going to watch this, 423. Alright, we're entering into second crack right now. You can hear the toothpicks breaking. A lot of people time their second with gas. It's not so much the time, it's the temperature with a PID. A PID is a proportional integer derivative device, and what this does, it's either a flow or temperature regulator, and it can monitor or hold temperatures or flow rates plus or minus. I'm using it for temperature. So for example, this lets me know at the end of that thermal probe rubbing against the coffee what temperature the coffee is, plus or minus 1 degree, which is pretty doggone accurate. Fahrenheit, of course, not Celsius, Fahrenheit. But it does have a Celsius function if you want to go there, but I just always done it in Fahrenheit. And here we are. We're looking really good. We're at a full city plus, but we're going to go a little bit darker than that. This 436. We're going to go to 441 because I like to see a little oil and shine on mine. And for this is espresso, because it's all about the lipids and the oils, and what really makes, we're right holding at 450. What really makes good espresso, in my opinion, we're at 441. We're getting close here. We're getting really close. Oh yeah. Alright, that's us. We're dropping it. No old maids, bean heads. And we're gonna cool this coffee down because it's hot. This is where the reverse airflow of this roaster does. Because when I flip that lever, it opens up a dam in the back and the airflow gets reversed. Instead of pushing air through the roaster, it's now backing air off and it's cooling air through the coffee. The air is coming up through the bottom of this pan, which has all these holes, and there's a vent there. So the air is just being reverse pushed. If anybody's ever milked cows, if you've used a pneumatic cow milker and a milk collector, it's kind of a similar process. Because when I was in college, I milked cows at the southeastern Louisiana dairy, and we had pneumatic milkers. So anyway, we're gonna let this coffee cool, and that's pretty much it. That's an espresso number 9. This is 6 pounds that I've started with, and this is for me. I'm not selling or giving this away. This is, I guess, my buddy Tony wants some, I give some to him, but this is what we got right now. Y'all have a good day, and I hope you stayed to the end. I know I'm not the guy that the Bean Mad is in terms of charisma, and the coffee is certainly better than I am. So anyway, this is just how I have fun. Y'all have a good day.